What's up, guys? Welcome to the 40th episode of the Trackside Girls podcast, season 2. If you guys see any reactions come from Molly, it's not necessarily of the words that are coming out of our mouths. We are filming on a Monday, and Molly is a huge WWE fan, so it is Monday Night Raw. Is that what's going on?
Mhm.
So if you happen to see any facial expressions that that don't match up with what we're saying, coming from Molly, that is why. But let's get started. We have one race weekend recap to do. We only have one more of the season. Formula One only has one more race coming up this weekend. But we're gonna go over. I say Losail, but I think it's Losail. But we're gonna do that weekend recap. For the one free practice session, it was a sprint weekend. So they only had one session of practice. A bunch of drivers dipped into the gravel during that session, but it was Charles P1, he was fastest, Lando P2, and Oscar P3. For sprint qualifying, out in Q1 was Franco Colapinto, Zhou Guanyu, Sergio Perez, Yuki Tsunoda, and Esteban Ocon. Out in SQ2 was Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Alex Albon, and Valtteri Bottas. In SQ3, it was Lando Norris to get sprint pole, George Russell P2, and Oscar P3. For the sprint, Lando basically saved Oscar the entire race, kept him in range of DRS so that Oscar could continue defending against George. And when McLaren, over the radio, told both drivers that the order would stay that way, Lando would be in front, Oscar would be second. Coming out of the last corner, right before the start-finish line, Oscar Piastri steals the win away from Lando Norris.
Disrespect.
I don't necessarily hate Oscar Piastri. I originally loved Oscar Piastri up until, like, this rivalry got a little too much. And McLaren kind of ruined my love for this duo of Lando Oscar.
Well, I mean, what? They've been going like all season, haven't they?
But
Yeah.
Oscar, even after Oscar was told to stay in position, he went against the team orders and stole the win. This is his second sprint win of the season. But Lando got second and George third. They had qualifying right about an hour after the sprint. Out in Q1 was Franco Colapinto, Esteban Ocon, Alexander Albon, Liam Lawson, and Nico Hulkenberg. Out in Q2 was Zhou Guanyu, Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas, Pierre Gasly, and Yuki Tsunoda. In Q3, it was Max Verstappen's first pole since Austria earlier this year. George Russell got P2 and Lando coming in P3 for the race. Max did take a one-place grid penalty. I don't exactly know what it was for, but they're just now making up, I guess, Verstappen only penalties. Like,
Sounds about right.
So as for the race, there is a safety car on lap 1. Both Esteban Ocon and Franco Colapinto were out. They were clipped by Nico Hulkenberg, who lost control without grip. Stroll also hit Albon in this little debacle on the first lap. Lap 5, Liam Lawson spins but keeps going. There was a 10-second penalty for Stroll for causing a collision. They served the penalty, then retired the car. Just because if you do not serve a time penalty, you get a grid drop on the next Grand Prix. There was a 5-second penalty for Lewis for a false start. One of the cars on track loses a wing mirror, and it's sitting in the middle of the main straight. There was yellow flag, and Lando didn't lift during that tiny little part of the track. So we're going to talk about his penalty in just a second. But Valtteri Bottas ran over the wing mirror, sending pieces everywhere across the front stretch. Lewis got a puncture from it. Carlos, at the same time, got a puncture from it. The safety car was deployed lap 36. Even before the restart, Sergio Perez spun and lost drive before that restart, and so he got out of the car, had to retire from the race. Pierre Gasly had a lockup on the restart. They had to throw out another virtual safety car into a full safety car on lap 40 due to Nico Hülkenberg being beached in the gravel. But Lando, this is a new penalty with a new race director. I guess this is a new penalty that he came up with. But Lando had to do a 10-second stop and go penalty for not slowing under that yellow flag for the debris. Alex Albon clipped K-Mag. Lewis with a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But it was Max Verstappen's first Grand Prix win since June. Charles Leclerc comes home P2 with Oscar P3. Driver of the day was Zhou Guanyu. And Lando Norris had fastest lap. So, that was a lot.
Intense.
But, so, now that we are done with our race recap, we are going to do the What's in the Group Chat segment and go over a lot of things because I feel like a lot has happened in the past week since we last filmed.
But that's normally how it goes, though.
That is true.
Normally how it goes after we're done filming, I feel like Molly is really just blowing up the group chat with a bunch of stuff. I like skim through it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back and look at it, and then I never do. And then half the time I'm surprised about half the things that are on here, and I'm like, didn't know that one.
But
guess I should have paid attention, but I don't.
So some big news for women in motorsports. Toni Breidinger announced to be full-time in the number 5 truck for Tricon next season. So we actually saw her at Martinsville, and she was wearing a number 1 Tricon jacket, which she has ran the number 1 before. She has ran a Victoria's Secret paint scheme before in the number 1 truck. So I just figured that she was out there to show her support, but this news being released makes a lot more sense. So hopefully we get to see what she is truly capable of coming in full time. But because Toni is taking over full time in the number 5 truck, that means Dean Thompson will no longer be in the 5 truck. and he released a statement thanking Tricon and the number 5 team, as well as David Gilliland, Derek Smith, and Doug Campbell. So I don't think he has announced anything yet, but he has ran a couple races before in the Xfinity Series, so we'll see if anything comes out of that. So we talked about last episode that Cadillac, General Motors, they put in an offer to join the 2026 grid. It is happening. There will be an 11th team on the grid in 2026. General Motors bringing in GM and Cadillac. So it is official. I've heard quite a few different like drivers that are kind of rumored to be the first on the list. Daniel Ricciardo being one of those, Valtteri Bottas, since neither of them are going to have seats next season. Technically, there is still one more seat in the official seat at Visa Cash App RB, but we don't exactly know who's going to get that seat. And there has been rumors that Checo might not even be staying at Red Bull after this season, because if we're being honest, he has quite literally tanked their ways of ever getting a Constructors' Championship this season, which, to be fair, the car has been pretty terrible, but if you can't beat your teammate in a terrible car, what are you doing? That's kind of the way you gotta look at it. And they brought up again about the new EV car in NASCAR, moving along in development, and that manufacturers are making and submitting body designs for the 2026 Chevy Cup body, which is also in the works, because Camaro's out, right? I think Camaro's done.
I think so.
Cause like from what I remember, like, I mean, even in general, like, I don't think they're making Camaros anymore.
I don't think that they are.
But Formula One has extended their contract to race at Monza until at least 2031. Joey Gay's Motorsports has added Scott Austin as partial owner beginning in 2025. He is the owner of Floridian Motorsports, which ran part-time in the Truck Series this year. Courtney Crone is going to be racing next year with Haas and F1 Academy. Nitro Motorsports is expanding to ARCA and with Venturini Motorsports. Season 2 of NASCAR Full Speed is coming to Netflix in April 2025, which in my opinion, I think that is way too late. I think if you want to do build up, if you want to have like traction for it, I would do it before Daytona. Or even if you can get it out before the Clash. Like, get people hyped for the season. There has been new rules set for the Truck Series. They're trying to put more cost containment on the Truck Series through NASCAR meaning one of the things is the pit crews can no longer wear sponsored fire suits. They can't wear sponsors on fire suits anymore, which I think is so dumb because getting a company to invest in a truck series race is hard in general because truck series doesn't get a lot of push as much as Xfinity and Cup. So I feel like taking away one of their selling points of putting that company or whichever onto also pit crew fire suits, like they just took away part of teams' like ability to sell a sponsor on doing a race. So and then, I mean, people have said that apparently they're trying to get rid of the truck series altogether. So they're trying to phase out stuff. I don't know if that's like, well, I mean, apparently, they might be in the first stages of it because they're trying to get rid of sponsors on fire suits, which is dumb. Anyway.
Well, if they're just gonna get rid of the truck series, then why'd they even first make the truck series to begin with?
Yeah, who knows?
Just a question. Why'd they even do it in the first place if they're just trying to get rid of it?
Yeah. I don't know. Molly, do you know anything about this Kyle Larson indicates new championship format? Did you read that?
No, that was just the thing that popped up on my Twitter feed.
Okay. Alright. Since I don't know anything about it, we're just gonna keep going. Because I don't see the playoff format changing.
I don't either. But you know, the funny thing is, they all talk about it. They're like, "Oh, the playoff format's gonna change," and like they all wanted to change, but I'm like, it's not gonna change. It's gonna stay the same.
Yeah, I don't know. People are delusional.
Facts.
So Tricon has filled the number 17 truck with Gio Ruggiero. I think that's how you say his name. He raced at Venturini in the ARCA series. I'm kind of surprised, if I'm gonna be completely honest. He's not what I would have expected.
I don't even know who was gonna go in that truck, like at all.
But I'm also pretty sure he ran a JBL paint scheme in ARCA, and so like JBL, those like bigger ones, they're Toyota backed sponsors.
Well, yeah, because I was their sponsor.
Yes.
That.
So with that, I guess that's how he got moved into Tricon, with him being a Toyota backed driver. I'm not exactly sure if he's technically a Toyota development driver, like Isabella Robusto and drivers like that. But so that means only all four of their regular full-time trucks are filled. And then again with the number 1 truck, they normally rotate out drivers. So we'll see over the season next year who they decide to put into that truck. So for the last race in Abu Dhabi, Esteban Ocon has been dropped from Alpine. So it's kind of hand in hand with he's leaving the team. He's going to Haas next season, and he wants to not necessarily he wants to participate in post-season testing with Haas. So Alpine has released him. In turn, Jack Doohan will be racing his first full F1 weekend and making his F1 debut at Abu Dhabi before he moves on to be in that seat full time next season. which I'm a little sad because I want to meet Jack Doohan. The news has come out that Tyler Allen will be crew chief for Ty Gibbs in the 54 next season in 2025. ESPN has posted that Sergio Perez is set to leave Red Bull at the end of this season. Apparently, sources have told ESPN. According to multiple sources, Red Bull has decided to move on from Checo after Abu Dhabi, which, after what happened in Qatar, I can see why they finally bit the bullet. There are more updates with the charters, if you want to go look at those. Jason Radcliffe will return to the top of the pit box for Taylor Gray in the Xfinity Series in the number 54. It is official that Abby Pulling is the F1 Academy World Champion for the 2024 season. And she's raced, I want to say she was doing some British Formula 4 races. So hopefully she gets some real... She's got a lot of potential, same with Dorian Penn, which I hope Dorian stays in F1 Academy. She's backed by Mercedes and has a lot of support from Lewis Hamilton. And I would love to see her career go further. She already drives in IMSA, or has been before with Iron Dames. So hopefully we get to see a lot of her a bit more. But they have crowned their champion as well. Ollie Behrman has won the first... the first Formula 2 race in Qatar. Apparently Formula 2's never raced there before. So Ollie Behrman got that win this past weekend. But it all comes down to this weekend at Abu Dhabi. The Formula 1 Constructors Championship is still on the table. Right now, McLaren is still leading with Ferrari close behind, and then Red Bull behind them. I don't see Red Bull winning this Constructors Championship, but with the way that it's looking, McLaren has a very big possibility of winning the Constructors Championship. As long as everything goes well for them in Abu Dhabi, and they do not lose any points on Ferrari, I have a feeling they got the Constructors Championship in the bag. So, that means this weekend, we got to do our picks for Abu Dhabi, the final race of the Formula 1 season. We're going to have one more episode after this. We're going to go over Abu Dhabi, and then our season as the Trackside Girls Season 2 will come to an end when we will be back in roughly February.
Roughly February.
I gotta look at the NASCAR calendar, because I'm pretty sure NASCAR starts the earliest out of the three that we cover. So it would all be based on that. All right. It is a regular Grand Prix weekend. 3 practice sessions, qualifying, and the race. Times aren't as bad as I thought it was going to be for the East Coast. Practice 1 is 4:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. Practice 2, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the 6th. On the 7th, free practice 3 is 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. and qualifying is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then the race at 8 a.m. on the 8th. So, who is going to win Abu Dhabi? I think I'm gonna go McLaren again. I feel like it's either McLaren or Mercedes. Because I mean, Ferrari did show up a bit this past weekend, but I think it's really I'm gonna go Lando and George.
Man. This is tricky. I'm gonna go Lewis and Lando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let Molly decide while she's staring at WWE.
Well, it's
Yeah.
okay now. I'm just thinking. I'm gonna go Lando. I'm gonna go Charles.
Lando and Charles. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Probably one of the shortest ones we've had all season. I'm gonna be honest. But let's close this out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. However you enjoy our lovely podcast. This has been season 40.
No.
Nope.
No.
There we go.
I haven't done that.
Did you say season 40?
Episode 40.
She did.
You
Yeah,
said season 40.
Season 40.
Season 4. It's
I
fine.
haven't gone that far yet.
It hasn't been 40 years, guys.
Guys, side note, we've been doing this for 40 years apparently. We're on season 40.
Anyway, okay. Let's do our trying to decide
I'm gonna
what
check.
car to use.
I feel like we're all about to do the same car, maybe, if Sid chooses the right one. I don't know.
Are we talking Formula One?
Yeah, because I think Holly and I are doing the same car because I just switched last minute.
Okay, if that's the case, I think I know which one you're doing.
I gotta go this way. This house is in a box. So,
Okay.
I also have to go this way.
Okay, fine. Then I shall also go that way. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
First, we gotta do. It goes peace, love, and you ready?
Ready?
Race cars. Yeah, we're all matching. All right. That's it. Good night, everybody.
Peace out.